where did you get your deals from? We made this much money, 1 million, 100 million, 5 billion. There's so much with marketing, audits, and analytics. You may be thinking to yourself, where do I even begin? And I'm going to show you exactly where to start. If you're trying to scale your marketing with revenue, you don't have to be an expert. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 areas to pay attention to. The first step is going to be connecting all of your data sources. It does not matter if you're using a third-party tool or if you're going direct to Google Analytics, SEMrush, Google Search Console, Google Ads. That does not matter, but you first have to establish, do I have connection points to all of my data? Data is going to support every decision when it comes to audit, and you can't possibly complete an audit and know what's working, what isn't, if you don't have access to the data. So the first step is get access to it. If you didn't set it up, find the person that did, and go back to them and ask them to give you access, because we're going to start with the data connections. Now, ideally, you want to connect into a third-party data source, something like DataBox or those other ones out there, NinjaCat, etc., because that's going to pull everything together in an easily and digestible format for you to be able to see things, but you still are going to want to be able to go deep into the native platform. So, for instance, I can look at charts and graphs and data from Google Analytics in a third party, but when I want to do a deep dive and do a full audit, I'm going to go directly to Google Analytics because I can get so much deeper with the data. So the place to pay attention to that I think is the most important is going to be, where did you get your deals from? So ideally, you've been tracking your revenue, you've been tracking your deals, and you want to know, where did it come from? Where did that source of that deal originate from? That is where you want to pay attention to first. That is the most important part, because it does not matter if you have conversions and leads, etc., and you see that by source. I want to know what made me the most money. So whether I'm looking at our own marketing or that for a client, the first step is going to be looking at, where did the deal source come from? From there, I can make a ton of decisions with that data. I can say, these are the top sources of where we're getting our deals from. This is what's making us the most money. I could then go back and say, what was the strategy and tactics we used to grow in that vertical, whether it's organic search, paid media, social, referrals, etc. But I first have to look at that graph. There's a lot that you can tell about a company if you just look at the source of their deals, preferably closed deals first, to say, we made this much money, 1 million, 100 million, 5 billion. Where did the source of that deal come from? And then from there, I can say, how many leads did I get to convert into deals? But without that source information on the deals, I can't possibly tell which one's making me the most money. And at the end of the day, that's all that every business owner cares about, is what is turning the dollars and making them cash. Attention, leads, opportunities is great, but if those things don't turn into actual money, then what does it really matter? The third area is going to be leads by source. So I talked about the deal side, but let's look at what's generating the most leads. So you have to look at it by source. Is it coming from organic, social, paid, etc.? Look at the amount of leads that you're getting in, and then carry that into how many of those leads converted into actual deals. So many times we've seen tons of clients have leads from organic or leads from paid. Maybe it's 500 over the year, 1,000 over the year. But when I say, how many of those converted into an actual deal, it's maybe 10% of the time. So a good rule of thumb is 25, 35, 45% of the time. Those are big numbers. We've seen that a ton. And then from there, you're just trying to increase it. But you want to know how many of those leads from those sources actually converted to deals. Because just because you're getting attention, people are raising their hand and saying, I want to buy this, I want to talk to you, etc. If you're not actually converting them, that talks about one of two areas. One is sales not doing their job with converting a good, solid, quality lead, or is the lead not really that good? Because just because somebody wants to buy does not mean that they're qualified. So it could get to that qualification process with the salesperson, and they're like, oh, you know what? This is unqualified. So that's the first area to look at, qualified versus unqualified. But let's say that they move into a deal. If they're not closing them, maybe it's a budgetary issue. Maybe there's some common trends there and traits as far as why didn't they get the deal. So all that information has to be tracked and managed, but you start with the leads and then leads converting into those deals. The fourth area is going to be SEO positions versus competitors. How am I ranking versus my competition? You may be thinking, how am I going to possibly track that? Well, with SEMrush, you can track your current positions and up to, I believe it's 5 competitors. It's a minimal monthly amount, but that's a great way to say, these are the keywords that I care about. You can see, what am I currently ranking for? Pull those into the keyword visibility tracker in your project and say, these ones I care about the most. And then from there, I want to see my current position versus my competitors. The reason why that's a great tool is because you can see, are you gaining or losing traction? You may lose traction on a keyword. You may go from position 12 to position 20. And if your competitors are gaining traction, then it's not necessarily just like an industry thing. It could be something that's wrong with your website, or something that Google's seeing is not triggering them to move you up and moving your competition up instead. On the flip side of it, you can see if you're making ground when your competition is lacking. You can also get a good idea of what are they ranking for. If you do a quick audit on their organic keywords, what are they ranking for that you're not ranking for, which then plays into your entire SEO strategy. So if I'm going to audit a company, I'm going to say, where were you at in the beginning, or let's say the last quarter? What were your position starting point and what was the ending point? For our clients, we look at this on a regular basis. We look at monthly, month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year, last month this year versus last month last year. And we want to track all that to see, are we getting net gains? SEO is going to go up and down. You're going to increase your positions, you're going to decrease your positions. That all comes with how Google's crawling you, your competition, core updates, etc. But if you're not tracking that information, you can't possibly say, is it working? So if I say, this is my starting point, this is my baseline, I want to track my position increases net over time, then that is a way to quickly audit it, is just look at, am I going after the right keywords, number one? And if you agree that, hey, these are the right keywords and I want to audit the performance of it, I'm going to then say, what was my starting point of tracking? What was my ending point? Are we moving in the right direction? And what is my competition doing? And that should help you out with generating your strategy. And the last area is going to be paid media. Everybody talks about paid media with click-through rate and your return on ad spend and all that. All that really matters is that return on ad spend. If you spend $50,000 or $500,000 over a year in ad spend, you want to see a return on that investment. Now, the multiplier that you use is going to be dictated by what you feel most comfortable with. Some people want a 2x multiplier, some people need a 20x multiplier. That just means if I spend $100,000 on ads, do I want to make $1 million? Do I want to make $10 million? Figure out what that multiplier is and then audit it and say, is this working or not? You may come to find out that your ads aren't generating the most quantity of leads, but if they are ROI positive, then from a strategy standpoint, you want to shift more money into that vertical. So the best place to look at is your return on ad spend. Click-through rates, impressions, and all that stuff is great. That gets you to a certain point, but all that really matters, again, are you converting these leads into deals, and are those deals closing? Because if there's nothing worse than spending a significant amount of money on ads and having them not convert to actual deals, you get leads and you get opportunities, but they're not closing deals, then eventually management owners will say, I don't know if this is the best area for us. I can take that money and invest it into other areas that are providing higher quality leads and converting faster. So I hope that helps. It's a quick way of generating a marketing audit to not overcomplicate things and get into the weeds, but it lets you see what areas are most important and where should you focus your time and attention, and based on that information, how you should develop your strategy for the next 12 months. If you guys got value out of this, share it with someone that you know. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want to listen to the podcast, type in "Your Marketing Sucks," and I'll see you on the next one.